So a couple of videos back I made a hydraulic bending machine, a rotary bending machine, which uses the hydraulic pump of my hydraulic press, and at the time I said I wanted to make a scroll making jig to go on this machine, which would allow me to make repeatable scrolls and also allow me to do it with a lot less effort than doing it by hand. So that's what I'm doing here. So first job was to modify the top plate ever so slightly on the lathe, machine it back so that I could mount this 4-jaw chuck that I think I got from a car boot sale, or someone had it on the village Facebook group. So I've chosen a 4-jaw chuck instead of a 3-jaw chuck because I've got one of those as well. It's a little bit more versatile. So this chuck will mount on the hydraulic rotary machine that I made. There we go. And it'll allow me to, well, attach anything I like I do in the lathe. So I can twist metal with it, I can put things in it that I want to weld, set the machine to turn very slowly and weld around things, and I can make top plates like this one here with various sort of dies, if you like, made to bend metal around, because it's rotating. So whereas the press forms things sort of 2D, this you can get different shapes by rotating it. So the first job here was to get some flat bar and put it in the peg and make the shape I wanted to. In this case it was a scroll. Now it can't just be the same thickness or the same depth all the way across, because obviously being circular, one side of it's always blocking off where the metal's being fed in. So the inner side has to be taller, so you wrap it round there as the metal's fed round, and then you drop it down a level, and then you drop it down another level to get the complete scroll. Otherwise hopefully it'll make sense when you see the video. Anyway, now it's time to weld a piece of box, because we've got a 4-jaw chuck, we really need a piece of box. This is what's going to drive it, if you like, the drive spindle, and that goes straight into the 4-jaw chuck. So the 4-jaw chuck is removable, so I can use the bending pegs that I made last time out of the Chieftain track links, but the likelihood is it's going to stay on there most of the time, because it's just a really quick way of changing attachments, and you can actually bend between the jaws if you want. Here's the first go, some 6mm bar, so you can see the first layer, first height, and then you back it off a little bit, go to the second layer, and then that'll allow it to feed the metal over the top of the bottom layer. Drop it back a bit, just getting a little bit used to the machine. It's still probably got too much flow, I could do with turning it down a bit. And there we go, going around to the final layer. And you can mark the top plate like I have done here with chalk to tell you how far around you want to go depending on the size of the scroll. And of course, well, here's a piece of 8mm round bar that we're having a go with. Does that comfortably. I scrolled round bar up to 10mm with it with absolute ease. And obviously if you're using flat bar, it'll do quite wide bar, because you haven't got such a large cross-sectional area. But as you can see, you don't have to put any thought into the shape, like you would if you're bending it by hand, because it just follows around on the jig. And if you're making lots of scrolls to infill, say, a rose arch or a large fence panel or something like that, obviously you can make a huge number of scrolls that are symmetrical, but you don't have to put all the elbow grease in. Here's a piece of 10mm, as you can see, it's doing it with ease. And 10mm really does take a little bit of bending, particularly to do a sharp bend in a nice sort of continuous curve. It's relatively easy just to bend a bit of metal. Bending a piece of metal in a controlled way to a measured outcome, something completely different. And this seems to do it quite easily. So pretty pleased with that. The other thing, of course, you can do is scroll one end one way and one end the other, or both the same way. And this is what I mean about infill panels and decorations. You quite often see this in staircases and railings and things, where usually flat bar has been scrolled in this sort of fashion to make an infill decoration and fill in a space with what would ordinarily be a linear piece of metal.